Good morning, bad news bears. Look, I fixed the crow. You can quit your fucking whining. Quick one, as I'm off out again. It's an unusually busy week. It's using up my reserves, but still. Just quickly, something non-controversial that won't stir people up in any way, shape, or form. So, a lot of people on the sort of centre-right side on this issue seem to be extolling the virtues of meritocracy and of traditional marriage, as though, working hard will make all the difference in the world, as though pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and just happening to have a mum and a dad around will somehow magically cure everything. This isn't really true, and the societies that are often extolled as the models of this, the sort of Anglo-capitalist societies, so UK, US, Australia, places like that. These are often, it's codified in the American dream, the idea that anybody can make it if they just buckle down and work hard. This isn't true. In surveys of modern Western countries where they check for social mobility, that is, the situation you're born into and the situation you emerge out into, it's found that the least socially mobile countries are countries like the US and the UK, with their archly capitalist, somewhat more laissez-faire, somewhat less generous social systems and economic systems, whereas the countries that are most socially elastic are, yet again, for people who track these kind of things, the Nordic countries, the more socialist countries. And yes, social programs are socialism, even if it's within the context of a different society. See, socialism doesn't mean communism. Free markets and socialism can coexist. But these are countries where they invest in things like education, where they have decent welfare safety nets, where they really put an effort into these things, into giving everyone as fair and equal a start as possible. And it's under that circumstance that merit can really succeed. That isn't to say that there aren't individual cases where people succeed in US and UK society. It's just it's more difficult. And in the UK, the class system plays more of a part in that. But in America, the odds are very much stacked against you. For every one brilliant hood rat kid who comes up with a brilliant idea and becomes head of a several $1 million corporation or whatever, there's hundreds of brilliant hood rat kids who don't. This is the problem, and it's the problem globally. Social investment leads to better meritocratic outcomes. Socialism leads to greater social mobility. It allows the people who are brilliant to succeed by giving them a baseline, by giving people a baseline opportunity upon which they can launch small businesses and so on, by giving better public education and so on and so forth. It's just better in that degree. Regarding marriage, a stable family life with two incomes, that's going to be better, but you can't mandate that. You can't force that. If you fiddle with the divorce laws, as some people have suggested, you're just forcing two miserable people to live together. If you prevent a pair of gays or lesbians from adopting, as some people want to do, because they have that concept of traditional marriage, then you're just preventing more kids from growing up in a stable two-income home. And if this is your argument, that this level of stability, this level of economic stability is better, then why not poly marriages? Why not some kind of Heinlein-esque tribal group family? That would be 5 or 6 or 7 incomes, all sharing similar resources in terms of shelter and power and heat and food and all that. The economics of scale kick in at that point. And that's much more how human beings used to live. That's it takes a village to raise a child, or throughout most of our history we have been polygamous or polyamorous, so it seems, judging from the genetic data. A relatively small group of people has had loads and loads of children. Of course, that then leaves you with a bunch of disposable and marginalised men, which isn't good for society. So I don't know what the answers are here. Well, I do know when it comes to social mobility and granting people success. I mean, that's social investment. But regarding marriage, I don't think you can, in good conscience, force, bribe, or coerce people into marrying into that kind of traditional setup. I mean, we want people to live together, and raise kids and combine their incomes and so on, and we should make that as easy as possible, with as open as possible marriage contracts, and as open as possible a concept of what a family is, with the blessing of the state. But other than that, I don't know. This idea that traditional marriage is the way forward, when it's not even really that traditional when you look into the history of the human species, just seems kind of absurd. So if you're going to argue for meritocracy, you're going to have to argue for socialism for it to work. And if you're going to argue for traditional marriage, whose tradition? And if your reasons for arguing for it are economic and in terms of stability and so on, then you should be arguing for things like polymarriage and so on, which I guess would be the liberal position. Zang. It's been called misogynistic, racist, a hate group, reactionary. It's been blamed for Trump, for keeping women out of games and technology. None of this is true. If you want the real story, then you need to buy Inside Gamergate.